If you get over here, you won't be on the camera.
Right.
Over here, you will be. Okay, great. Paul Wilkins, thank you one more time.
Thank you.
Probate. This guy knows his probate. This is a good man.
Thank you, Dan. Just for a quick study later on, I have a little book here that I wrote after being in the business 20-some years. Actually, it's 29 now, but I finished this a few years ago. It's called Probate for Real Estate Investors. And I give you a pretty good rundown of everything. If you know nothing, this will give you a really good background. Talks about the whole probate process, why it's there, and gives some examples: wholesaling, retailing, hold for rentals, and some of the other miscellaneous stuff that will come up. So if you're interested, talk to me afterwards. Be happy to discuss it. I had a short presentation, but rather than run through like 10 slides in 15 minutes, I figured I'll just wing it and we'll talk about things, ask questions as they arise. Be happy to answer it, okay? First of all, most people say, well, I'm not going to avoid probate, I have a will. Wrong answer. You have a will, it's going to trigger a probate. Why? Because if a deceased person owns a property, who's going to sign on their behalf? Well, Dad had a will. Okay, fine. But until the court approves that, it's not going to be valid. You can't go to a title company, and people in the industry, you guys will appreciate this. I always say that the title company is the fourth branch of government. Okay? Because they'll do whatever the heck they want to do, despite what the legislatures in various states. One perfect example, we have a transfer on death deed in California, and I also learned this in Nevada a few months ago also. Well, even though the transfer of death can avoid probate because it transfers the property once the person expires, title companies will not insure those things for a year. Same is true in Nevada. So even though you think you're doing everything fine and dandy, your heirs are going to be stuck with that property for a year regardless whether they need money or not, because they're not going to get title insurance. Yes, sir.
Isn't a will different than a trust, and a trust would avoid probate?
Yes, a trust would avoid probate, provided that there's no objections to the trust.
Right.
If mom didn't want Danny Boy to get money because he was too bad, he was a bad boy his whole life, Danny Boy could file a protest with the court and extend the trust matter. But a properly written trust without any objections will go through smoothly, yes. A will, not so much, okay? A transfer on death deed, not so much. So it's important to understand these ideas. And since we're all going to die, I mean, we can't avoid that, right? It's going to happen, so we got to be prepared for that. You know, one of Benjamin Franklin's most famous phrases was, about the death and taxes. Yeah, we're all subject to that, both taxes and death. Okay, so we can't get around that. Why is it important to understand? Well, like I just said, everybody's going to be dying, so we can't avoid it. But one of the good things about probate for investors, for real estate agents, it's a very good way to get in on the ground level cheaply, or more cheaply than waiting for the property to go on the MLS. What do I mean? Okay, once the probate process starts, you have to file a petition with the court. You have to wait nowadays probably about 45 days to have your initial hearing. And if everything goes smoothly and there's no opposition, no objections, the court will appoint the administrator, the person to essentially take over the administration of the estate. Well, this all takes time. And then once the administrator is appointed, the court has a probate referee who establishes value. They don't go out there and do an appraisal. This is a desk job. This is go out there and verify that dad's a hoarder, or the property's in horrible disrepair, or whatever, okay? This is just done based on the date of death of the individual. But the important thing is this 60, 90-day period that's gonna take place gives investors the opportunity to contact the people in charge to get a good deal. If you're a real estate agent, it's not gonna get listed typically for 60 to 90 days. So if you're on top of this, you might find a really good way to get some listings other than just knocking on doors and going to the monthly nonprofit organizations that you normally visit to try to get listed, right? Okay, let's see what else is of interest here. Tax advantages. Once a trust or probate starts, or let me backtrack a second. The IRS gives you a 1-year period from the date of death of the decedent to get the property sold. If you don't sell it within that 1-year period, you incur capital gains taxes. This is trusts also. Okay, so you can get some really good deals if you are able to engage the people who are having to sell properties and close the transaction before that 1-year period is over.
That
Yes, sir.
includes a trust.
Pardon?
1 year for a trust as well?
Yes,
Wow.
yes. So, I know someone very closely that was able to get something last year, $175,000 under appraisal, because the seller needed to close a transaction within that 1-year period. Okay, so it was all above board. There's no funny stuff there. It's just the seller was going to incur a huge capital gains tax if they didn't close escrow. So, you know, expediency gets you the early bird gets the worm, and it did in that case. I think Linda's told me in the past that she's had some really spoken deals herself from probate transactions, probably without even asking the details, probably because of that capital gains issue also. Somebody needs to sell quickly before they incur that period. So that's a really good way to save money without having to, you know, negotiate your brains out. The values are set in probate as of the date of death. Okay, so if somebody died 5 or 10 years ago, the value goes back there. Now, a smart attorney, to help his client out or her client out, will ask the court to reappraise the property based on the current value, okay? But are there a few adult attorneys in this country? There are. You know, unfortunately, just because you can pass a bar exam doesn't mean you're smart. No offense to attorneys out there. I know a lot of good ones. But in many cases, the attorneys will not ask the court to redefine the value of the property. So if the property's gone up in value, you may be able to get it at, again, legitimately at a substantial discount to the present market value. One of the things I think that scares people off about probate is the lack of knowledge. I see this, the company I work for is called Approved Inheritance Cash. We're in Pasadena. We're an interim lender, so to say. We advance money to heirs during the probate process with the intention of getting paid off at the end when probate closes and the monies are distributed. Okay? But a lot of the reasons we give out money are for delinquent mortgages, delinquent property taxes, living expenses of the heir. A lot of these people, and it's the generational thing, I think most of us were raised to work hard and, you know, stick our nose to the grindstone to succeed, right? I don't know, a lot of the younger people nowadays, they just have a different attitude about life. And mom and dad were taking care of them, and guess what? Mom and dad die, and these kids aren't able to take care of themselves. And they come to us in the intro, it's like, I don't have any money for groceries or utilities or what. I've had people, I had one mommy, she was on ice, literally at Rose Hills for 4 months because the estate didn't have the money to pay for her burial. We had to wire money to Rose Hills to pay for her funeral. So we can handle money for many, many reasons and can save bad situations. Again, if you're a realtor, you find a property, your neighbor has one, or a friend of a friend, there's a lot of situations where we can step in and get you the money and avoid foreclosures, avoid people being on ice for 4 months, people going hungry, people having utility shut off. You had a question?
I'm just trying to get a question, sorry. So are you a lawyer?
Am I a lawyer? No.
Okay, so are you're just teaching how to invest in?
I'm teaching, yes.
Okay.
I'll make a disclosure, I'm only giving information only, and
Okay, so
and
you
I'm
do-
not
you
giving
do
legal
probate
advice.
investments, is that what you do?
Pardon?
You do probate investments? Is that what
Yes.
you do? Okay.
I've been, well, we advance money, we're kind of like lenders, but we don't lend, we do contracts.
You advance money for?
We advance money, I've been doing this for 29 years, so, yeah, I've seen a few thousand probate cases over the years. Yeah.
Okay.
And answer your questions, or?
Well, you advance money to the,
We advance money primarily to the heirs of the estate, the people inheriting. But like I closed a transaction earlier this week, the attorney handling the estate needed some money for cash for keys. Okay, so we gave the money to the attorney for cash for keys to get the tenants out of the property. A couple of years ago, I got a call from one of my attorneys, and there was a $2 million wind farm in Kern County that was going to go to sale. He called me on Thursday, and the tax sale was the following Monday. So for the next 6 hours after that phone call, I put this tax deal together, and we saved a $2 million property from foreclosure. I wired money the next day to the Kern County tax collector and got the sale off.
so where's your profit coming from?
Well, we charge fees for it.
Okay.
Now, your company isn't buying up these properties and investing in them.
No, we're basically a lender, but although we're not making loans, technically we're purchasing a portion of the contract. That way we don't have usury issues.
Right.
See, if we were lenders and we're charging fees that we do, we'd have usury charges against us.
Is there laws against the company that you work?
No, it's perfectly mandated, California Probate Code 11605.4.
That says you as a company cannot purchase the property?
No, we as a company can purchase interest in probate estates.
Okay.
It's
Like you
completely
did.
legal. The prior company I worked at, the owner was an attorney, and he had it codified by Sacramento.
So that's how you're fitting into the real estate investment concept.
Right.
You can actually lend the money and then actually purchase the property.
Right.
If there's no buyer for it.
Right. But see, there's so many ways we can help investors, we can help real estate agents, we can help real estate brokers, attorneys,
So if those fees
fiduciaries.
aren't paid back, can you lien on the property?
We often put liens on property, not always. We put liens on the inheritance.
Like a mechanics lien, so to speak?
Well, it's actually, we file it with the probate court,
Oh,
and the intention is to do that, but in certain cases,
How often does that happen?
where we put liens on properties,
You know,
not too
because
often.
the money you lend in probate is gonna get paid back, so you have to put like.
Typically, you know, we do have thieves and bad people out there that don't pay what they're supposed to. Yes, ma'am.
So I understand because that's your type of business, it's very easy for you to see, you know, the probate and the transaction
No, I haven't gone to court for years because most of the information's online now. Okay, but in the old days, let's say 10 years ago, when we had to go to the court to obtain the information, I used to see people there with their laptops, almost, I wouldn't say every time I went to court, but every other time, I would see somebody there, and what they're doing, these are real estate investors, real estate agents, real estate attorneys. I know there's one attorney that we work with. He goes and he gets the database himself, and he solicits all of the people in California that are going through probate, saying, hey, I'm a probate attorney, I can help you out if you need an attorney. Okay, so like I have that information in here, and I'll tell you how to go to the courts, obtain the information, or a lot of it can be obtained online now. You might have to pay a little bit to look at it, but the good thing is if you're out soliciting these people shortly after the cases are filed with the court, they don't have real estate agents yet. They haven't put the property in their contract yet. It gives you a window of opportunity to go talk to these people. And if you're an agent, get a listing. If you're an investor, give them an offer and possibly get the property.
And usually, the fewer family members or heirs, the easier it is to work, because they're not all fighting over what's gonna happen.
Sometimes they fight because they get a little too greedy, but a more common and the more common issue is, let's get this thing sold so we can get our money.
Yeah.
Okay, and that will be the motivator to get these things sold and closed up quickly.
Yeah, they want the money. I've been the lender on a lot of probate deals. I hear it and I go, ugh, because it is like a 2 to 3 month. I mean, you're waiting for a while sometimes. I had one in Alaska where there were 12 people and half of them were dead. And we had to go through all that.
Yeah, see, like in California, the rule is if the person, let's say one of the dead people, if they're inheriting less than 165,000, then they can get paid. Grandma dies and she had 12 kids,
Yeah.
and 6 of the kids are dead. Well, their portion just gets paid out. But if they were going to get more than 165,000, you have to open up a separate probate for each one of those dead kids. So yeah, it can take a long time.
So are you coming at this as like a white knight investor, so to speak?
If you see me that way. Yeah. I think we're good guys in many cases. I mean,
You're investing in, don't take this the wrong way, but say like, I'll use something I'm kind of familiar with. You're investing in in a failing restaurant, so to speak. So you're coming in and taking care of the restaurant's going down, or maybe the owner passed away, you come in, hey, I'll take over your downfall.
yeah, if it makes sense. I'll give you an example. I got a
Exactly
call.
what's your reminder?
Yeah, I mean, we have to, I'm the underwriter, so I have to kind of sort of make sure that we're going to get repaid. I'll give you an example. I had a broker down in San Diego. He called me on Wednesday. We had a nice chat. He had a property that was going to sale yesterday, okay, foreclosure. It was a mobile home in San Marcos, but son of a gun, I looked it up on Zillow and Redfin and those things. The thing was right around 500,000. According to the notice of sale, the debt was like 290. So in theory, there was, $175,000, $200,000 worth of equity there. But I'm not going to do that deal one day before the foreclosure sale. That I'd be insane, and I'd be unemployed, the next day. So
That's just the kind of approach you want to go into these things as basically like a white knight investor. Because I can see this scenario can be kind of difficult to be approaching. The approach might be very difficult because of the scenario, because it's the downfall of someone's family. So you come in as a white knight investor, and that way it's a positive approach and not so much of a negative approach.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
the idea is we're trying to help people out and get them through a tough
They're more receptive to what you're
period.
trying
Yeah.
to do.
bad people, like some
Yeah.
attorneys hate us because they think we charge too much money or
Like, the
whatever.
divorce
It's like,
lawyers, you don't wanna be, divorce lawyers have a negative response because they're coming in.
yeah, I'm not,
Actually
yeah.
splitting people apart because of that's what their job is.
Yeah, we're here to help, and if we
Yeah.
can help you, great, if not, good luck to you,
Yeah.
you know? And, I think that's it. If you have more questions, please feel free to ask, but,
I just wanted
yes,
to
ma'am.
make a comment that you can find probate deals on the MLS. I have purchased all three of our single-family main houses that we live in have all been probates, and each one of them has been a probate deal, and we have found each one on the MLS. They normally state their probate, court confirmation or no court confirmation needed, but they do put probate deals on the MLS, so please keep an eye out for them.
So you
Sometimes
need
they'll
offers
have something for
because,
sale signs, correct?
Yeah.
This is like commercial properties, they'll say this is in probate or something like that.
Well, normally, I've only found a residential.
Do you work on any family law, high conflict family law divorce cases where the assets are tied up in court?
not the divorce cases, but the probate
Just the
cases,
probate?
yeah, there's some nasty.
And a lot of times they're in both
Yes,
courts, family law and probate at the same time. And they're tied up for years or
Yeah.
decades sometimes.
The very first advance that my company did, I was working for another place, and then guess, I was a hard money lender, subprime. And then guess what happened at the end of 2007? I lost my job, imagine that. Okay, I stayed there for a couple of years in servicing, and then in 2010, my new partners and I started our company in Pasadena. So I've been there 15 years now. But I was just sidetracked myself.
We're talking
We were
about family
talking
law
about-
and probate.
Yeah, okay. I was backtracking to tell you a story about that.
Some of the deals that go years or decades.
Yeah, the very first deal we did, 15 years ago, is still outstanding because the
Probate?
family's still fighting each
Yeah, high
other.
conflict,
Yeah, and you know what? A good attorney, somebody I used to work with years ago, has filed 3 eviction actions against one of the deadbeat grandsons. And because of the COVID terminology in the law, they keep raising like, oh, it doesn't say clearly that, you can only evict renters, and we're families, so you can't be evicted. And these weak judges, just back off and they say, oh yeah, the code isn't clear. I guess you're right, we can't rule against you.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
I think Linda's example is that you could make offers and get low prices because the people, like you said, just want to get it done. and
It's
get
like
it out.
It's a problem solver.
I was gonna say, thank you. A follow-up to that is, if you know how to work the system or get the information, you can go online in many cases and see. The probate referee will say the property's worth $300, okay? So if they're trying to get you to pay $450, and it's only worth $300, hey, grandma didn't take care of the property very well, and I think I can only pay about $350 on it. You know what, that'll be sufficient as far as the court's concerned, because in the court's mind, it's only worth $300,000. Okay, so you don't have to be gouged necessarily, you can use that against them, and win your argument and get a lower price.
In theory, if the probate deal is on the MLS, there's got to be clear title and or court approval for them to list it.
Yeah.
So,
And then it's going through the real estate program. It is, yes, but you can find probate deals on the MLS for sure.
Yeah,
Because they work with the estates directly, the agents or the brokers.
the one I was telling you about, the one we purchased for $175,000 under market, or under the ultimate purchase value, that was an MLS deal also. So,
Found 1 probate in LA and 2 in Santa Barbara County, 2 in Solvang. One, the owner died on the 154 by accident, didn't have heirs, so the neighbors
brochures and cards out on the table outside there. If you have any questions down the road, feel free to call me, and I have time to consult on ongoing issues if you need to. But I can take your question. Go ahead.
Just quickly, so MLS listing, great, thank you so much for sharing it. Besides MLS listing, should I go to court and ask for a probate list then?
You can. That's what I
And
suggest.
that would be the start.
Yeah, I'm not trying to sell books, but there's a ton of information in here, and that's part of it. How to go into court and get that information, so you can
Okay.
find these things before.
Where can I
they
find
hit-
your book?
I have them outside.
So you're buying these parcels and these properties in your value? You might have said that already, so I apologize.
Yes,
You-
because they don't do the market value, he said it's a
We're,
desk
we're
job.
basically lenders, okay?
You're an advanced
And-
lender.
Yeah.
Yeah, I invest pretty much out of state because I have a perceived conflict of interest with my partners if I use, my company's information to invest here. But yeah, I mean, the whole idea is you can find properties well under market, well before they hit the MLS and get good deals on
You
those
can
things.
wholesale it to somebody else or something like that.
Yeah.
In a sense.
You beat others to the punch.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good winging it without the computer.
Yeah.
You know your business.
I hope.